They went to free fall over the South Pole, but only this Virginia man survived, and after cheating death, he's still jumping.
You know, life has a flavor when you experience things like this.
News 4 steps into the clouds and into his mind after Merlin, Monday on News 4 at 11.
Michael Kearns of Chantilly, Virginia, is alive tonight knowing that he could just as easily be dead. He survived a tragic skydiving accident less than 5 months ago at the South Pole. Joe Krebs has his story in this special report.
April 14th in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, skydiver Michael Kearns made 40 jumps, plus one to grow on to celebrate his 40th birthday.
Whoa! Happy birthday to you!
Michael Kearns has been skydiving for more than 20 years, 16 of those in the Air Force, collecting jump wings from more than a dozen countries. He married his wife, Mimi, in midair 6 years ago, and last December he jumped out of a plane over the South Pole.
Do you see yourself as a daredevil?
No, I think an adventurer maybe. You know, the South Pole thing certainly was much more risky.
Michael Kearns met up with 3 other adventurers in Chile on their way to skydive where only one other person had ever skydived before.
I think we were well prepared at the South Pole. It's just it was an unfortunate series of events that caused the accident.
The accident killed all 3 of the other adventurers. Hans Rizak of Vienna, Austria, Steve Mulholland of Seattle, Washington, Ray Miller of Tiffin, Ohio. They flew to a base camp in Antarctica where they spent 3 days in tents and talked about the jump.
Ray will probably exit first backwards. He'll be jumping camera, and then Hans, Mike, and then I'll probably follow out last.
At the South Pole, they piled on warm clothes and parachutes and posed by the plane. And then the plane took off.
We all jumped out. Everything was fine. I was diving down, actually with my hands to my side, diving head down at probably 200 miles per hour. You can't tell if you're 10 feet or 10,000 feet. You don't see things get bigger and bigger as you're falling to the ground because it's just white, just complete white.
His altimeter read 1,000 feet, halfway through the red zone.
So I knew right at that time I had to pull my reserve. This is the actual handle that I pulled at the South Pole, and at the same time my automatic activation device was firing. I was probably between 600 to 700 feet.
And then what kind of a landing did you have?
At that point in time, all I had time to do was release my brakes and do a half a turn into the wind, so I hit kind of sideways and rolled.
He looked around and saw a bit of parachute sticking out of the snow.
And that was Steve's parachute. So he had probably intended and started to deploy the main parachute, but there was no time at that time for the main to deploy fully.
And the other 2, Ray and Hans?
They were still skydiving when they hit. So just like little snow angels in the snow. They were there because they wanted to be there. Most skydivers realize that there are accidents that happen. I would think that if a skydiver was to be killed, they'd probably rather be killed in a skydiving accident than a car wreck somewhere. If you're doing what you want to do, so be it.
And so Michael Kearns continues to jump and to fly and to revel in his freedom in the sky.
Looking good, looking good. Okay, he's ready to take it now.
Joe Krebs, News 4, Washington.
No one knows for sure what caused that accident, whether the other men were affected by the lack of oxygen at the high altitude or disoriented by the featureless white ice. But only Michael Kearns had a parachute that opened automatically at a preset altitude and saved his life. Automatic opening devices are not required.